Conversations in business.
Welcome to the Takeout Effect. The Takeout Effect brings real conversations in business. I'm your host, and my name is Banki. The Takeout Effect is brought to you by Business Takeout. Business Takeout is a nonprofit social enterprise. Our mission is to increase Black wealth and empower Black entrepreneurs. And today we have an excellent show for everyone today. We have Elle Edwards here with us today. Elle, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I am good. We're going to talk about a lot of things on the entrepreneurship journey. Questions about being a self-taught entrepreneur. Just a lot of questions that you would have on your journey, your challenges, the importance of mentorship. We're going to dive right into it, but before we do, we have a message from our sponsor.
Awesome.
Our sponsor, yes. Our sponsor today is Banki Designs. Banki Designs is a brand and design agency that specializes in graphic design, web design, and social media content creation. So let's hear a word from our sponsor. All right, we're back. So Elle, we're gonna dive right into it. If for everyone who is just tuning in, you are a fashion photographer and a creative director, correct?
Yes, I am.
Amazing. So in going through your bio, I've noticed that you are a self-taught entrepreneur. And
Yes.
For those who are watching, how did you start your journey? How did you know this is the path you wanted to go on?
That is a good question. It really, honestly, with fashion photography as of late, it really hit me during the lockdowns, and having time off to really work on my craft and study my craft and have the time away from, let's say, my 9 to 5, and work on my quality work and just figure out myself and what I want to do with my life. I think that's when it really hit me that I wanted to take the jump and do this full time.
Right.
Especially with the city opening back up and then me going back to my 9 to 5, it started to really hit me that this is not my calling. This is not my passion. And I took the jump. It was the scariest thing. It was very nerve-wracking, but when I started getting opportunities that were paying me, just as much as working 2, 3, 4 weeks at, my job, I'm like, okay, I can't keep passing up these opportunities. And I never had to really, put out promos out there. Opportunities were just coming to me from me just doing my, personal projects. So that's when I knew.
Okay. Amazing. And it's great that you said that, because I think during the lockdown, we all had a time of self-reflection. And a lot of people did come into terms of, what they're doing in terms of their 9 to 5, and whether or not they want to continue that or follow their dreams, right? And I've known that
Yes.
you've been a photographer from before the lockdown, but I didn't know.
Yes.
So how did you realize that this was something you were passionate about?
Well, I've always been passionate about fashion. I've worked in the fashion industry about 11, 12 years now. And, I started off as a model and then got into behind the camera, got into creative directing and then styling. I started writing for different websites and blogs, and, got to the point where I became more of an influencer and, got featured in Sharp magazine and Dolce magazine and so many other publications. And it just got to the point where, by mistake, by accident, got into photography, and I just found it easier to capture my visions and create my visions rather than to go out to other photographers who didn't have the quality of work. I thought it was just easier for me to just, focus on what I wanted to do and create that vision. That's when it hit me. It hit me about 3, 4 years ago.
Okay, amazing. And I can see what you mean, because some of my challenges with photo shoots is that sometimes the photographer doesn't capture, the look that I want to give,
Yes,
but
yes.
to be able to say, you know what, this is how I see, this shoot going, the direction that I see it going, and being able to take control of that, I think it's amazing. So without
Yes.
having any experience as a photographer, what are ways you self-taught yourself? What are ways
As
to be a better photographer?
That's a good question. Honestly, when I first started, I just started saving, behind the scenes pictures from top tier, productions, productions of big campaigns, big commercial shoots. I was never a technical person. I was always very creative. But I always
Hmm.
like the kind of like the glitz and glam of it, and just understanding and this is when I've already had experience as a model, as a stylist. But I just didn't know the equipment. I didn't know about the lighting. I didn't know how to
Yeah.
shape light. So I started saving a lot of the behind the scenes. I started YouTubing behind the scenes of, let's say, cover shoots of Vogue or like editorials from Harper's Bazaar, looking at, let's say, GQ behind the scenes and stuff like that. And it started to give me more perspective on the type of crews that the photographers would use, how big the sets are. And then I started watching a lot of interviews with photographers and understanding how they like understanding their journey and understanding, where they started and how humble, their start was,
Mhm.
and just understanding the different perspectives of the teams you work with. Sometimes certain photographers are only stuck in their own head and in their own perspective. But when I started listening to retouchers and understanding what's important to them and what's good, what makes good photography from a retoucher's point of view, what's
Mhm.
a makeup artist's perspective, or a stylist, or an agent when you're working with models, or a
Yeah.
casting director. So when I started working with them and having those conversations, listening to those podcasts, those interviews, it gave me a well-rounded perspective on how I should deliver and what I should deliver as a fashion photographer.
Okay. And that's amazing, because just looking at some of your pictures, just gonna post some of them right now. I can see that it's natural talent, just
Thank
by
you.
looking at some of your work. And that's amazing, right? To really, decide, and it's a decision that you make in your mind that I want to pursue this and conquer it. I
Yes.
wanted to ask a very important question about betting on yourself. And
Yes.
the idea actually came across to me after seeing a TikTok video and not knowing that you had something to do with the project. One moment here. So as it's just a quick video. The audio didn't sound that great when I screen recorded, so I took the audio out.
No problem. No problem.
But really, it's a model that you take pictures for, or you did on that
Yes.
project. And his story was he left his 9 to 5 to pursue his dreams, and he bet on himself, and is now seeing himself in the windows of like a store, right? So,
Yes. Yes.
and his story is similar to you as the one as the photographer. You also betted on yourself, right?
Yes.
Um, any advice to anyone who wants to take a leap of faith into following their dreams?
You know, honestly, I think I've had this conversation a couple times with my team, who also just took the step to do what they love full time. And the best thing I could tell them is build up your support system. Make sure you have the right people by your side. Sometimes it's not family. Sometimes it might not be your closest friends or your closest circle, but sometimes it might be industry people. I would say find mentors, find people who understand the grind, understand the industry. So whenever you're going through some issues, some trial and errors, that you can bounce ideas off of them, and they can give you empathy and coach you and more mentor you on what to do, what not to do, how to do things properly or more professionally or whatnot. And I would say just do it scared. Also just calculate, your risk, and also understanding that, my situation is very different from someone else's situation who's also taking a jump. So sometimes when you see certain people taking a jump or leap of faith, sometimes they might have, more financial security, or sometimes they have more of a cushion or people around them helping them out versus another person who doesn't have that security, or they have way more responsibilities or financial commitments. So I would say like really understand, where you are in life and if you can take that jump. And if you feel like you can't do it right away, like at least invest some time each day or each week into your craft or into your business and turning your hobby into a business. But those are a few points I would definitely say. Like it's definitely worth taking that jump. And for me personally, it's scary, being an entrepreneur and betting on yourself and betting on yourself every single day. Especially when you leave, a sense of security from a job like a 9 to 5, and you
Yeah.
understand that there's consistent income coming in every so often. But when that dynamic changes, that's when you have to get out of the whole employee mindset and start becoming more creative and more abundance thinking.
No, and I definitely agree. You mentioned so much that was absolutely amazing. Being realistic on your present situation, such as financial responsibilities, looking at everything that is happening in your life and making a rational decision. So, yeah, definitely. And if you're not able to do it now, plan for it. Um, so that's I think that's amazing because it really put things in perspective. You were already a model. You already had the contacts before being a photographer. So your situation is definitely different from someone else's, right?
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
Um, what are some suggestions would you have for someone who wants to follow their dreams, but they don't have the support system? Um, how would you say they find the support system?
I would definitely say, if you're in the arts, as an example, or if you're in almost any industry, utilize social media, whether it's utilizing LinkedIn and figuring out who in your industry is where, you'll be surprised the amount of people who are in your industry in your city or country. You can use LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a great source. You can use Instagram. Instagram is an amazing source. For me, when I was first getting started working in luxury way before photography, I would geotag places or look at locations and see who shops at certain places and make friends.
Yeah.
I would look up certain hashtags. I would go to certain neighborhoods. I would go to Yorkville, and I'll see who's shopping here. I'll talk to the store owners and whatnot and strike up a conversation. And for me, I would act like a belong, and just being in certain places, I would call my happy places. I would
Hmm.
feel even more inspired. And, sometimes when you make one connection, hopefully they know many other people as well in the industry you're trying to get into. So for me, like I always tell people that you have a lot of resources on your phone in the palm of your
Yeah.
hands. Your phone, your social media is all a tool, and it's all about how you use it. And there's a lot that can be done just on LinkedIn and Instagram alone and Facebook.
On Facebook, definitely. I would say that a lot of entrepreneurs, from just experiences and just talking to other entrepreneurs, a lot of entrepreneurs would say that when they started to be an entrepreneur, they didn't have the family support.
Yeah.
because they didn't, because they wanted to pursue something that wasn't a 9 to 5, and
Yeah.
their family and friends didn't believe in the dreams that they had, right? But there's always a community of people that do. So it's all about finding the right people, right? Um, Facebook
Yes.
groups, Facebook groups, LinkedIn, as you mentioned, I would say to join a team of people with similar interests, and you will find your tribe. Um,
Definitely.
you also mentioned like business mentorship, right? Um, how can one find a mentorship, a mentor that is similar to their industry? You mentioned LinkedIn. Was there any other places you'd say online, or how would how would reading books? What are your take on finding a mentor that is in your industry?
Well, for me in my industry in fashion, luckily, I'm blessed to find a lot of people that are on Instagram. Instagram, for me, is such a major tool. That's my biggest source of marketing and, just getting myself out there and my work out there. For me, if I see a magazine editorial, and they credit who's shooting it, or they credit the creative director or the art director or the casting director or whatnot, like I would follow them. I'll check out their work. I'll check out their website. I'll send them a DM. Sometimes I'll send them an email, and I'll send them a follow up. And that's honestly one of the ways I grow my relationship in the industry over the years. And you
Okay.
know, I always tell people, like, you want to put your best foot forward. You want to make sure whatever you post on social media is getting you opportunities, and not, you're not eliminating opportunities just based off of what you post or how you put yourself out there, how you brand yourself. So luckily for me, like how I put myself out there has gotten me a lot of opportunities. And yeah, Instagram has just been one of the best tools that I've used. LinkedIn has been good as well. There's a lot of professionals of many different industries that are on LinkedIn. So, whether it's following up with someone, striking up a random conversation, even wishing them a happy birthday on LinkedIn, it turned into something, plants a seed. You never know.
Yeah. This show is live right now on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And for those who are watching, please feel free to like and share. Facebook changed their name today to Meta.
Yeah, yeah, that's very
Which
interesting.
is yes. Um, so during COVID, so you were a photographer before COVID, and when COVID came about, it gave you a lot of time to reflect and make you decide to do this full time, right? What are some of the
Yeah.
challenges you experienced while doing that?
During COVID, or just having that
During
revelation.
COVID, because I know that a lot of places were closed. I was trying to do a photo shoot, and the photographers I reached out to, they wasn't available because of COVID. Um, how were you able to make that transition during that difficult time?
For me, I did a lot of studying, to be honest. And what studying looks like for me is
Mhm.
I'm obsessed with fashion. So I'm always studying editorials from like 20, 30 years ago, till now, and what's happening now in the industry. And, I've read a lot of biographies. I watched a lot of biographies. And I just pretty much like really studied my industry, because I wasn't shooting, especially in the beginning of the pandemic when no one knew what was going on. I started
Mhm.
re-editing a lot of my old work and
Oh,
just
nice.
looking at improvements. A lot of people were on Instagram lives doing interviews. So I started to
Mhm.
watch like my favorite, photographers on Instagram live, and just seeing where their mind is at, their mentality. And some were very transparent, and, some people were dealing with imposter syndrome. And that's something I deal with a lot. So I started to learn a lot about myself, and through their conversations. And, one of the things were realizing that sometimes, those imposter, thoughts don't ever go away, but they just learn to deal with it and
Yeah.
push through and
There
grow
was
from it. So that was a big part for me. That was a big aha moment for me that, these little thoughts don't really go away, but I can manage it better and not push away opportunities because of how I feel inside, and learn to confidently accept opportunities. So that was like one of the
Amazing.
biggest things for me.
Okay. And it's good that you were able to learn from others. Um, Going on the imposter syndrome, if I'm saying it correctly, there was a show on that topic, particularly on Business Takeout, the Healthy Entrepreneur with Maxine Choi. There was a specific episode on that particular topic. So for those who are watching, I will put the link in the comments so you can check it out later. But let's talk about leaving your 9 to 5 and transitioning over to being a full-time entrepreneur. And a lot of things will have to change in terms of your mindset, at least in my opinion, right? Your mindset switching from a 9 to 5 over into a full-time entrepreneur mode. What business tips would you say for anyone who is making that switch?
Oh, that's a good question. That's another good question. I would say surround yourself with more entrepreneurs.
Yeah,
Sometimes when you're around people with an employee mindset, employee mentality, it's very hard to talk to certain people and have them fully understand what you're going through.
that's true.
So I would definitely say surround yourself with more entrepreneurs, people who are very proactive, very disciplined, people who are willing to listen to you and help you out, even if it has to do with taxes, business accounts, things like that. So like for me personally, I have a couple of friends who are entrepreneurs, and just hearing them go through their struggles, or hearing them clienteling, or hearing how focused they are and how much they're working on a client project, it inspires me to put more work into my business
Yes,
and what I'm doing. And so kind of, even though my friends and I can be totally different industries, just hearing about their mindset and how focused they are definitely rubs off on me. And sometimes I could be talking about a potential project and they can say, make sure you got your deposit, make sure you have your contract, make sure you have this, that, and the other. And so it's nice that they can go through certain experiences and just kind of coach me or remind me about certain things and procedures and protocols, and it helps. It definitely helps then, rather than going through this entrepreneur journey by yourself.
exactly. And I can totally relate because once you have friends that are also entrepreneurs, you learn from each other. You're motivated, you're inspired because in a sense you're both on that journey together, going down different paths, type of thing. Like you both are on the same road.
Definitely.
um, so in terms of what are some of the opportunities, if have you gained any new opportunities based on your entrepreneurship journey that you never thought you would have had, for example?
Yeah, honestly, a lot. And the example you posted before, getting my first, let's say, store window display, that was a huge milestone for me. And to, be transparent, that was an opportunity that I was given, but it was hard for me to commit to at the time because of my 9 to 5, job. And it took me leaving the job to say, you know what, I have this availability now to take on this project. So it definitely helped me, accomplish certain goals, reach certain milestones that I never would have thought. A lot of the opportunities I'm getting now, I never thought in the beginning of this year that I would ever achieve. So, or even in the beginning of the summer. So honestly, like as soon as I went, you know, fully entrepreneurial, I started being available for opportunities. And this is honestly one of those industries where, if you're not available, the opportunities will miss you. People will move on to the next, creative director or photographer or consultants. It's just one of those industries that never stops.
Yeah.
And, when somebody's looking for someone and you're not available, they're moving on to the next. So I definitely, that's one of the biggest milestones. And then also just having the time, the availability to, pitch projects to different brands, to different businesses, plant seeds, and not be burnt out from the 9 to 5. And so, a lot of those things have manifested itself, and where I'm working with different brands as a creative director or a photographer and getting
Nice.
paid for it as well.
Okay. So definitely, I like that you took that leap, you bet on yourself, and you're making things happen, which is beautiful. Um,
Thank you.
so in terms of who do you are a fashion photographer, who do you take photographers are? Is it only models? Is it actors? Is it anyone who's doing personal branding? Who do you take photos of? Who are your clients mostly?
So mainly my clients right now is designers, brands, boutiques. Also, I shoot a lot of actors' headshots. Um, that's definitely something I do. I don't really post a lot of it, but it's definitely something that actually brings in a lot of money, which is great. And an agent told me a couple of weeks back is one of the reasons why she likes to refer me to shoot her actors is I create images that gets them booked. So when she
Nice.
told me that tagline, that line, I was just like, I like the sound of that. But for me, my mentality is always like, I want to shoot somebody and make it look like they're, straight out of a magazine, like, they're on the cover of, Vogue, or, they're in GQ. And so if I can make, someone look like that, whether it's a model or your average person, that's always my goal. And I always like to make people feel comfortable and then also make them look good.
Okay, amazing. So when someone books a session with you, what are they getting out of it?
So one of the biggest things I would say is you're getting a great, comfortable, relaxed session. That's the biggest thing. Like, one of the reasons why my team loves working with me is like everyone's very comfortable. Everyone feels like it's a party, it's a gathering, and I like, even way before I got into photography, I always like that feeling of hospitality where everyone can just feel relaxed. There's times where we do shoots and the model doesn't even feel like she's working. She just feels like she's hanging out. There's music playing, there's catering,
Mhm.
there's food. And at the same time, we're capturing images, whether it's for a brand or we're shooting for a campaign or we're shooting portfolio stuff for an agent. And so I like the idea of making people feel comfortable. It's almost very therapeutic.
Yeah.
Usually when people leave a session, they feel, you can say lighter. They feel better. They feel happier, and then they have that excitement of, I can't wait to see the pictures. I can't wait to use this for my brand or for my store, or I can't wait to have this in my portfolio so I can get, big jobs. So that's like the fundamental core thing about me and shooting. But
And I
otherwise, you're getting quality.
I can see that because I would say my experience with photographers, their ability to make you feel relaxed and comfortable before the shoot starts really increases the confidence in the person that's taken the model or the person who's doing the shoot, right?
Yeah.
So your ability to improve their confidence level by method of relaxing them, I think, is amazing. Um, so we're gonna go to a game right now. Um,
All
this
right.
game is called Business Confessions, and basically how it goes is I will tell you a scenario. I'll give you a scenario. You respond, and I will guess if you're telling a lie or a confession. So
Okay.
the
I think I'm ready.
ready? All right. The game starts right now. All right. So tell me about a time when you achieved a milestone and you celebrated it.
Ooh, okay. Let me think about my answer real quick. Let's see. I would say achieved a milestone and celebrated it. I would say this is really good because now my mind is like going all over. I'm trying to distract you and confuse you. um, I would say definitely shooting for a handbag brand in Yorkville and,
Mhm.
having it on display and displayed in Yorkville Village, and being able to showcase my work in one of my happiest places. That's definitely a major, 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 major milestone, especially frequenting Yorkville for like 6 years and being all these stores and just dreaming one day that I will have my work up there and, being able to show it.
Okay. And I'm going to guess, I don't recall seeing any handbags in your portfolio. I could have missed it, but because I don't recall it, I will guess that's a lie.
You call it a lie, I call it manifestations.
Nice, I love that. I love that.
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely, manifesting that.
Yes.
Definitely.
As we move towards the ending of the show, what does the future hold for Elle Edwards?
Honestly, that example I gave is definitely in the future. I see myself working, frequenting Montreal. Montreal is a much stronger fashion market compared to Toronto. So I see myself frequenting Montreal a lot more. I also see myself frequenting New York. And, that's a much, much stronger, fashion market. It's a fashion capital in North America. And so, I feel like it's one thing to push, here in the city. That's not the strongest fashion market, but I feel like things happen a little bit easier when you're in a more supportive market like New York or Montreal. So I see myself, being able to frequent there for jobs and have, work feel like play and play feel like work. So that's usually that's like the ideal. And so I see that happening in the next couple of weeks. I don't know the specifics, but I feel it. I've been feeling it happening, and honestly, I'm just doing my part from my end to plant seeds. Make sure I work on projects that catches people's eye, making sure I'm being proactive and sending out those emails, planting seeds. Making sure people know about my work, know about me, and I feel like these. Not only just this industry, but just in life, things are not going to always be easy. You can't be lazy and expect things to happen for you. So I'm blessed with a lot of the opportunities I've been given so far, without having to really push. And so now I'm at that place where I want to push even harder and plant some seeds so I can harvest later.
Amazing. And I'm really looking forward to see what the future holds for you. I'm looking to see all those manifestations come into reality, and I'm rooting for you.
Thank you. I'm excited.
For those who are watching, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. And if you enjoyed this episode, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Elle, it was amazing having a conversation with you today about business. And for everyone who's watching, see you next week. Bye, everyone.
All right, bye.
And you can stay behind the scenes for a bit.
Awesome. If you enjoy our programming and want to help support Black entrepreneurship, please donate today. www.businesstakeout.com/donate.